Okie dokie then. I don't know what I want to do, dude. Okay, so in a few hours we are going to be running a game of Pathfinder, myself and some church friends and everything. So they're at a point in the dungeon where they're about to corner the first arc's big bad evil guy, and there's like a somewhat like a pseudo hostage situation going on as well, right? So the party, as we can see right here, don't mind the evil evil dragon that's blushing in the corner there. You've got the party, and what I'm imagining this coming session to look like is I've already laid the foundation for them to, instead of going straight east through the locked doors, they need to find a key, which is going to be actually in the through the southern door, which will lead them to another new player who has joined the game, and so this way, the way I'm imagining it is they're going to have there's going to be like a mini fight here in order to release the new player to join the team. The key to the door is going to be all the way down at the end of the hallway, attached to the this gibbering mouther. And so in order to actually get at the key to reach the big bad evil guy, they're going to have to bring the new player along, so to speak, free the new player. They've already got the jailer's keys, so they have the ability to unlock all of the cells here. The last one is already open, only because I intend, at least the intention, the hope is that when the players kind of gather around to take a peek at this prisoner of sorts and to ask him questions like, who are you, how'd you get here, so on and so forth, there's going to be like a cutscene moment where like they hear like the babbling of infernal tongue, and from like around the corner they see this gibbering mouth or this abomination kind of slither around the corner into line of view, and from there they'll like, I'm imagining this gibbering mouth or to have like a collar and everything, like a dog collar. it's like named Fido or something, and like attached to that collar there's like a key that fits the description of what they're looking for the main BBEG door. So that's how I'm imagining and hoping that the first hour of tonight's session kind of goes down, but we'll see. We'll see. These players have a history of completely ignoring plot hooks and things of that nature. Now, luckily, I think I've done a relatively decent job this time around of again giving them enough reason to head south to unlock the cells. But the point is, I guess the point of what this stream even is for is I'm trying to plan that actual big bad evil boss fight that they are just on the cusp of. So once they do clear the jail cells here, they'll have all the keys they need to unlock the door and take on the big bad evil guy. I call him the philanthropist. His nickname is Phil for the philanthropist. And with him is this 9-10-year-old child who has a very questionable history, right? And so the party was originally sent to find this missing child. And it just so happened that it was connected to the overarching plot that has been impacting the land around them, the town they come from, so on and so forth. And so I guess the plot twist here, more or less, is that the child is kind of here willingly, somewhat willingly. The child doesn't have a whole lot of memories. He was more or less found around the town that everyone starts from, and he was adopted. He doesn't have a whole lot of knowledge or memories of where he came from, who he is, or anything to that nature. Like, everything that we do know about him has been kind of created by the adoptive family that he was taken in by. So his name, as far as everyone is aware of, is Jacob. And he's a very pale, sunken eyes, just kind of, there's something off about him, right? There's something very off about him. Ugh, I don't even want to look at him anymore. He's a weirdo, man. But the plot twist then is that he's actually the creation of Phil, the philanthropist. The thing is, I want the reason why I'm even bringing this up is whenever the party does get into this room, there's got to be a monologue. There's got to be a planned monologue here, right? Every single big bad evil guy has to have a monologue. Otherwise, are you really even playing a tabletop RPG? I say no. Assuming the party actually allows the monologue to happen, it's more so going to be a dialogue, not monologue, but the point is, the Phil is going to be in the middle of a conversation with Jacob, his creation, so to speak, a kind of construct, where the thing is, Phil, the philanthropist, is up against the wall. Even before the party gets here, he's up against the wall. He's short on time. He's short on resources. His plans are to essentially stabilize the region by filling it with creatures that he can control. You know, he's a necromancer of sorts. He's a vampire / necromancer who's kind of tied in and was the victim, or found himself to be the victim of a bad contract with some infernal beings. And so the point is, he's actually trying to fight back against the infernal beings, the gods and goddesses of hell right now. Now, the problem is, when you're fighting infernal beings and creations with necromancy, you tend to still be seen as a bad guy, even if the intentions are good. And so, especially when you go around to the neighboring towns' farms and taint the products that they have, which then, when gets consumed by the town, turns everyone into zombies or whatever. Again, you're kind of painted in a bad light, whether you want to be or not. So the party is here to find the missing child, but they're going to be, killing two birds with one stone here. They're going to be saving the town, putting a stop to the necromantic lunacy that is Phil the philanthropist. But they're also going to potentially, hopefully, fingers crossed, save the child, that is Jacob, who is the offspring / creation of Phil the philanthropist. And so, that's going to be a question of morality for the players, I imagine. It's like, during the dialogue of this fight, the players are going to be exposed to the truth of Jacob, to the truth of Phil. Like, who's actually pulling the strings? It turns out Phil is being manipulated, and he's just doing his best to fight the system that he was shoved into. And then you've got Jacob, whose entire purpose is to serve the philanthropist, to be I'm forgetting the term, but someone who comes in afterwards and helps carry the legacy on. Jacob is essentially what Phil the philanthropist is relying on to kind of see his works to fruition. So even if Phil goes down and dies in this upcoming big bad evil guy fight, the party has a question of what to do with the orphan, what to do with the created construct whose purpose is to bring about evil, continued evil. And so the party, I guess to make things a little more fun for the party, is they were sent on this mission to rescue Jacob by Jacob's like adoptive family, right? And so they had a moment to kind of hear and see the impact that Jacob has for, you know, the family. And the fact of the matter is Jacob has shown signs of not being wholly evil, right? Like his intention is overall good, and he doesn't seem to be doing evil, even though he definitely looks like he is capable of doing evil. Like, just again, look at this brat. Ugh. Man, get out of here, you weirdo, you little weird looking kid. And yeah, like one of the last things Jacob said to the other adoptive daughter was like, hey, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to hunt down the evil that is lurking in your nightmares that's coming for you. Fun fact, that's actually the infernal evil in question. That's what Phil, the philanthropist, is trying to fight as well. It's necromancy versus decrepit, corrupted nature. So yeah, there's just a whole bunch of evil on evil and morally gray kind of stuff going on here. So that's what I want the party to have. Like the main question by the end of the session. I don't care about Phil dying. That's part of the plan, right? Like that's just the big bad evil guy RPG experience. Kill the big bad guy, get XP, level up, maybe, hopefully, and then move on with your life. But the real challenge is going to be, what do they do with Jacob? So here's what I'm imagining so far is, again, once they come through, they have that dialogue, that back and forth with Phil, and Phil kind of reveals like what Jacob is to him. The party can kind of see that they're, why are you a loving skeleton? You're not a loving skeleton. Stop that. You're not allowed to have a heart. You're dead. There you go. Unloving skeleton. That's weird. And so like the thing is, Phil is going to have the ability to teleport everyone in the room at the snap of a finger or what have you. So let me go and show you where the actual arena is going to take place. The actual fights. Boom. It's colorful. Gotta make sure the walls are there. All right. Yep. Walls are there. Cool. So here's where the actual fight is going to take place. I've made sure to already have like some basic rules in place where players can jump and leap between the platforms. Pathfinder's already got some baked in rules to take care of that, so I'm not worried about the players moving around. The point is, the challenge more or less with this fight is that the philanthropist is going to be able to summon in creatures and abominations over the course of the fight. I'm going to make sure that he's got 3 actions, much like every other player, right? And so he's got to kind of like divide his attention between Jacob, who's in front of him. He's got to like engage with him in conversation and try to get Jacob onto his side. He's got to then summon the creatures from the physical plane into, I'm just going to label this the astral plane for the time being, just because of how it looks in this arena. And then maybe if he's got like an action left over, or maybe he can't work with Jacob anymore for any reason whatsoever, like maybe the players are shouting at Jacob, trying to keep him away from Phil. Who knows, right? The philanthropist will have the ability to cast some relatively interesting spells. I'm not going to do dominate at all. Like that's just, no. I'm personally against any kind of like hard incapacitation spells. Anything that takes away player agency, really. So So I guess the real question here, like the reason why we're here is I need to bridge the gap between where we are now to where I want us to end, where there's that question of what are they going to do with Jacob. I've already got all the framework like laid out for the battle and what's going to happen in the battle. I've already got all the actors set up, saved anyways. Yeah, I've already got all the actors that I need to just drag and drop. So I'm good on the mechanic side. So I guess to keep it short, we need to, I guess in order to make or build that bridge, I need to understand Phil a little better. Like, who is Phil? Well, we know what Phil is trying to accomplish, but like, why? Why was he in that contract? Why did he enter into a contract with an infernal goddess? Especially like a goddess of illusion and trickery, right? Like, Phil, the philanthropist, should have known something was off. And so let me actually see. Do I have yeah, I do actually have a PDF here of all the deities in question. Let me just pull it up real quick. Boom. There we are. Oh man, that's so bright. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I did not realize it would be that bright. Yeah, so this is the Pathfinder 2nd edition, like pantheon of sorts. And right now we're dealing with a few different pantheons, right? Okay, so the end game big bad evil guys that we're going to have to fight are going to be the devils of the kin. So that's the mistress of necromancy, the dowager of illusions, and the lady of discord. These three are the main three evil bads, and I'm kind of putting them against, you know, Eridan, the supposedly deceased god. I'm not going to bore you guys with the details of what Eridan is doing here and all the backgrounds of why this is the overall premise. But there's another party in play here. There is the Lantern King, the Laughing Lie, who has played a particularly cruel joke in all of this. So the point is, the three devils of the kin and the Lantern King are the evil forces in play in this campaign. And so as for why Phil is the way Phil is, in short, what I'm imagining is that the gosh dang it, I already forgot their terminology. The devils of the kin more or less offered Phil power. The power to control things, the power to summon the undead, you know, be a necromancer, so on and so forth. Phil was here, what has been living for a very long time. He is a vampire after all, and he's been living on his own in a new world. P.S. All this takes place on a different world from Galarian. Oh well. We're still using the canon of Pathfinder 2nd edition, so we are still like 50 years after the God's Reign event. Where Gorham was slain by the not the grasshopper, but the praying mantis assassin god. I forget his name. It's something weird. But yeah, 50 years after that, there's like an astral tear that opens up, and now there's a portal between Galarian and this new world, and the players have kind of crossed over, and a lot of other factions have crossed over. But the point here is the new world has had life on it before. Like ruins of civilizations are found, and signs of technological decay is littering the new world. And so I guess the point is, Phil is a lingering element of the past life or lives that have occurred here on the Ark. And so the point is, Phil is seeing all these new forces, all these new gods and goddesses, like kind of showing their hand in his world that has been at peace for a while now. And so ultimately he's raging against the machine, powers that are beyond his. However, he has been tricked by the devils of the kin, into a contract to fight back. However, like, the promise was, here you go. You'll be able to claim your land again, kick everyone out, and you'll just be able to live in peace for the rest of your days with no, loud neighbors, so to speak. However, the devils of the kin have kind of gone back against their word, or they've just exploited the contract as they originally intended, and that now they're like more or less amassing their own forces and causing chaos off in the distance. And Phil is upset that he has indirectly, more or less, been condensed and confined to one area, and in the contract basically given control or permission for the devils of the kin to live in his area because he needs their powers to defend the area. So it's like a weird position that he found himself in. He did not read the fine print of the contract. He made a mistake. That's what this is. So the short of it is, Phil is just upset. That's why Phil is doing all this. That's why Phil wanted something to change in this world. So really his going around to towns and raising an army of the undead is just to build up a force in response to what the devils of the kin are already doing in the southern area of the world. Let me actually show y'all the world map so y'all can get a picture of the world and where it stands. Okay. Yeah. So all of this is taking place right about here. I'm going to zoom in just for a moment. Oh, let's get this guy. Whoops. Why did I delete 3 keys? I only want to delete one token. Okay, here we go. Here's where the party is right now. They're within the Powell ruins. And underneath the ruin is an ivory obelisk, which is actually from the Iron Fang Legion for those who are Pathfinder history buffs. And that's where they're going to be fighting the big bad evil guy. But the point is, Winthrop is the main town that the philanthropist has been kind of turning the people into undead, necromantic, like zombies and such under his control. Like, that's where he's really trying to get started on building his army. And again, he's trying to fight the scourge that is building in the southern reaches of this new world. You can kind of see it with like the dark grayish volcanic coloration here, but that's actually intentional. It is intentionally colored that manner. And so like I'm imagining there to be like several story beats in the future of like going into like a holy city, right? Of maybe not Hackett Town, but maybe there's like another town around here which is more like a holy paladin-esque, established by the righteous churches of Galarian. Maybe some corruption going on there, maybe like planted by like the Laughing Lie, or the other devils of kin to undermine the power of the good aligned churches. I can do so many different things there. But the entire point, again, build up an army in the north to fight the south. And that's what brings us here. This is what the party is trying to stop. The party actually does not realize there's a larger threat in the south. They just realize, hey, someone's turning our people in the local town into zombies and we need to stop that. Or, hey, there's a missing child and we need to go find them. And, oh, hey, it's the guy that's controlling all the zombies. Wow, wonderful. Let's kill them both. Or, I mean, maybe they'll decide to do that. I don't know. Hold on. Discord is going crazy. Why is Discord going crazy? Let me just reply to this message real quick. Oh, that's why. Yeah. Okay, problem solved. Fire has been put out. Cool. Anyways. So going back to our question of why is Phil the way that he is? There's going to be so many memes about Phil the philanthropist now, I swear. I'm actually going to leave the name tag Phil on there and see like when the party or when the players kind of catch on. Like, hey, he's Phil. I try to keep the game serious, but also serious fun. So there's a lot of jokes and such in between the good story beats. Yeah, so I guess the first talking point that the party can catch Phil in the middle of. Here, I've got a notepad open on another screen. That's why you're not seeing this. But I suppose one of the big question: why is Phil doing this? And the answer is Phil is fighting back against the system. He was tricked by infernal gods / goddesses into granting them the freedom to establish their own forces, their own systems, their own people on the New World. Okay. And so Phil's ultimate goal is to break the connection between Galarian and the Ark. Like, that's just how it's going to have to be. He sees people coming in through these astral tears, and so he's making the connection. Okay, kill those astral tears somehow, just get rid of them, and then all the problems will cease to exist once you then clear out the rodents that have still made their way here. Is to sever the connection between Galarian and the Ark, which the new planet's called the Ark. Okay. So the next question then is, what does Jacob have to do with all of this, right? So type that out. What does Jacob have to do with all of this? All right. So the immediate question, or immediate answer to that question is what I've already mentioned before. Jacob is a construct, a creation of Phil to carry on his work. That's a cool idea, because Phil, by the letter of the contract, is not able to do specific things against the devils of the kin. Yes. Oh, yes. I love that. To carry on his work. Okay. By the letter of the contract. You know what? No, I'm going to actually type this up in the journal here, just so y'all can actually see what I'm doing. I'm going to duplicate this note and then update the title so it's something different. I'll have to go back through here. Whoops, I didn't want to delete all that. There we go. Okay, save that. Prep notes. And then here's the actual session notes. Boom. So why is Phil doing this? I'm I'm going to title this Big Bad Evil Guy Fight. So why is Phil doing this? Okay. Big Bad Evil Guy Fight. Title. I don't think I can do that with that. So Big Bad Evil Guy Fight. Underline it. Okay. Here we go. Phil is fighting back against the system. He was tricked by infernal gods, goddesses. Oops, that's an E. Yeah. Okay, what does Jacob have to do with all this? By the letter of the contract, Phil is unable to lift a finger against those who have given him power over the undead. Phil created Jacob to take his place. And so maybe the point is Phil is trying to get Jacob to let Phil kind of I can go with this a number of ways, right? We can be like full lick or lich or whatever, however you pronounce it, where Jacob is just a simulacrum of sorts, and the lich Phil is trying to get Jacob's soul out of Jacob's body so that the lich can then move in. And I guess that's part of why they're in the astral. Oh, everything's coming together. Oh yeah, this idea to stream this session was a good idea. Okay, so Phil created Jacob to take his place. Specifically, Phil wanted. Phil is no. Jacob is a sick. I'm so excited I can't type anymore. Simulacrum. Of Phil's. Phil will take Jacob to the astral sea in order to more easily remove Jacob's soul from his physical form and essentially take over the body. Cool. And so I guess the point then is Jacob is going to be more or less like in some kind of ritual. He's going to be unable to act, maybe, or maybe he does have the ability to act to fight the chains. I'll need to think on that for a moment. But yeah. So, and so, I guess that's actually the perfect answer. Like, that is why Jacob's here. Like, Jacob exists as a tool, as a vessel. So let's talk about a few outcomes here. Actually, you know, what is Jacob made from? Because I don't want to make this too easy of a question of, hey, what do we do with the kid? You know, I don't want to make him be nothing but an innocent creature in all of this. I want the party to have to debate this a little bit. So what is Jacob? I think Jacob is in of itself an abomination of sorts. I think he is a oh man. I think, oh, here, shoot, I forgot my little thingy thing. Hold on, sorry, 1 second. Let's wait for it to load. There we are. I'm on screen now. Perfect. All right. Jacob, so the party. Let's talk about the party and what they actually like and care for and what they support, morally speaking. We have, whoops, going from top to bottom, we have Alethea, who is an elf ranger from Galarian. All the player characters are from Galarian. They were brought over for one reason or another. Alethea is all about druid power. They're a ranger, but they were raised by druids. And they were raised to fight the Iron Fang Legion, more or less. Or that's what they ended up doing. They weren't raised to fight them. They just so happened to be raised around the same time as them. So Alethea cares a lot about preserving the natural order of things. Life to life, death to death, don't disrupt the balance. So we can easily kind of say Jacob is undead of some kind. I'm forgetting the term, but he is essentially corrupt from the viewpoint of natural order. He is an abomination. He is a middle finger. So for that, he might be a corpse, right? Whoops, why did I do that? There we go. All right. He is a corpse. That'd be the cheap way, the cheap answer there. And that might get Alethea to debate it. But let's go down to Axel, Axgard. He is a cat boy, not a human. He is a cat folk, but it's a custom ancestry, so it doesn't fit perfectly here. He has amnesia, so he does not really know who he is. However, he has so far played his character like truly like a bounty hunter. Like he goes down and fights, tracks down and slays monsters that are doing harm to people. So he is, I would argue, he is lawful, and he is relatively neutral. So he's lawful neutral. I'll just say, yeah, that makes sense. I think Axel's going to be on board no matter what I do. I think Axel just likes to care about the weak and downtrodden. But what happens when the weak and downtrodden was created by an evil force for the intention of evil? You know, I think that's a good enough question for Axel to be happy with the moral dilemma. Compass, an automaton. Unfortunately, the player actually won't be able to make it to tonight's session. They're just not feeling well, which is horrible. It's very sad, and I hope he feels better soon. But he's the champion, the frontline defense of the group, and he is more or less of the Hell Knight order, which I think that's very easy to say, like, hey, you're a creation using the magics that were provided by the infernal, by the hell's demons. Like, I think that's more than enough for Compass to... enough justification for Compass to kill Jacob right then and there after everything is said and done. But, again, Compass is not going to be here tonight, so... that might be something for the player to kind of ask about for the next session. Coulson is brand new. He's the guy who just joined recently, so we actually don't know a lot about him. I don't know a whole lot about his backstory. I was provided his backstory. Admittedly, I just don't have a whole lot of information, or I have not been able to read it as thoroughly as I would want to. I'm trying to make a note of that to do that before tonight's session, just so I am aware of it. Okay. There we go. That'll be for me to do after the stream. But yeah, since I don't know much about Coulson or the player behind Coulson just yet. I don't think I can do anything to make this interesting or engaging to him. Not yet. Then we have Freth. Oh man, this player is a wild card. Freth has a sea bunny called Neptune, which, if you don't know what a sea bunny looks like, this is what a sea bunny looks like. It's got like no legs. It's just a slug that crawls around the bottom of the ocean and just is adorable, basically. But Neptune, Freth is, God, the player is so crazy. Freth likes to collect samples of every little thing. Freth will be the reason why things break tonight, if they are destined to break tonight. That much I am sure of. Freth will undoubtedly try to experiment on Jacob. By like applying like potions and lotions to his skin or what have you, and try to see what happens when like certain mushrooms of the magical arcane nature contact Jacob's skin. I think there's no stopping Freth, no matter what I say or do. Freth is definitely going to. Freth would want Jacob to live. Absolutely. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, Jacob would live if Freth had her way. Now, whether or not Jacob would be free afterwards, that'd be a whole other thing. Like Freth might force Jacob into sticking with a party for quote unquote protection. Who knows? But I guess Freth, what can I do to make this interesting for Freth? I suppose what I could do is I could have a connection between Jacob and the mushrooms that are in her possession. So Freth has picked up some mushrooms along the way. They're outside the tower that all of this is taking place in. Underground in the cavern system are these blue glowing mushrooms that have some type of positive energy associated with them. They appear to be either pulling or distributing life energy throughout the areas that they're planted in. So rather than being parasitic, it's more like they're giving life to the area around them. They've already had one moment where Freth has, without Compass's permission, like used him as a guinea pig, and put one of the mushrooms on Compass's hand. And what I told Compass in private was like, only he saw this, like an automaton. He saw his robotic hand where the mushroom touched. He saw like a flash of like flesh, like his machine hand being replaced with like humanoid skin. And he could feel like the cold sensation of the air, the underground cavern air, and like stillness of it on his flesh. And then he blinked and it was gone, once the mushroom was removed. So that's like kind of what the mushrooms have been able to do. I'm not saying the mushrooms can fully turn Compass human or anything. Not one mushroom anyways, not with just a direct application. There has to be something more. And on that, I don't even want to make Compass human, because the player does not have, the player picked an automaton because he thought automatons were cool, and I don't want to ruin that for him. I just want to give him a little teaser like, hey, here's something for you if you want it. So I guess the point there, going back to what this is going to do for Jacob, I guess I could give something for Freth, and that a reward for her experimenting with the world around her. The reward being more knowledge of these mushrooms. So, if Jacob were to come into contact, either willingly or, well, through another means from Freth, what would happen? What we know so far from Alethea's interest is that he is undead, or he is some type of abomination from the earth. And if the mushrooms are meant to give life and energy into whatever they touch, what if Jacob's soul is not just his soul, but rather he is the culmination of multiple souls that have been pulled from other corpses and carcasses that Phil has experimented on. And so Jacob's body is of the earth, in that maybe he's like partially a faceless stalker, right? An Ugathal, which is, let me see if I can't show y'all what such a creature looks like. Oh, no, I can't here. Bestiary browser. Let's load all this stuff. Ugathal. Yeah, it's like a clay man that is able to take the shape and form of another creature. We've already dropped a few hints on other characters potentially being Ugathals, not player characters, but NPCs. So maybe Jacob's a more perfect Ugathal in that this base child form is the base form that the Ugathal can take. And it's not a clay creature. It's like a legitimate child of Phil, or Phil's twisted sense of what a perfect child should be. Moldable, malleable, at the very base level of youth, its ceiling, its capacity, its capability for learning and growing in power is unparalleled. And if Phil can get his soul into Jacob's body, Phil expects to have the ability to keep all of his memories, all of his abilities, but just build on top of that using Jacob's youth. So the mushroom, I think what it would do is it would give power to Jacob's different clashing souls. Because the body isn't stitch work, but what if the souls are stitch worked together? And so it creates this like migraine type of effect where everything is swirling around you and like your head is pulsing with like just in pain, I guess. And he's got all these new voices that have been revived, so to speak, from the mushrooms. And he has to come to terms with that, where it's no longer just him in his body, but he has to live for untold numbers of people who have to just sit in the cage that is Jacob's body and watch Jacob live their life when their life was taken from them by Phil. Oh, that would be such a cruel fate. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that. Okay. Jacob is made of the earth. Similar to an Ugathal. but more perfect. He is a youthful creation of Earth. I'm just going to be generic about that. I'm not going to say like he is 95% clay and 5% water. Like none of that. And, you know, this is a fantasy game. People can fill in the gaps with whatever they want. Jacob's soul, however, is patchworked from multiple, untold number of other souls that were subject to the other, I don't know, necromantic rituals. That's the word I was looking for. Rituals. I can't type. All right, cool. I'm loving this so far. So what's sorry. The mushrooms, should they be given or exposed to Jacob, would essentially bring to life the dormant souls of within Jacob's body. Boom. There you are. Beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking to myself for a moment. Yeah, I think that gives enough for Freth to be happy. Renian, he is from Taldor. He is the good value Camelot. So he is all about nobility, honor, courage, being a gentleman, so on and so forth. So him and Alethea actually like sync up a lot, or have synced up a lot with the with all the big bad evil guys and important decisions at the party. And I think that'll be the same here. I think Rinian's going to be conflicted by this, which is perfect. It's exactly what I wanted, what I would want with a player. Jacob is a creation of evil, intended for evil, with the very strong capacity to do evil. But there's just enough, like an inkling of innocence in there, where he's still just a victim, just a kid who doesn't yet know who he is. And so it's like, do you allow the kid to explore themselves and make the decision for themselves on what they want to do with their life? Or do you pull the trigger yourself right here and now while it's easy to do so before anything bad could happen? I think Rinian's going to have to chew on that a lot, and I love the idea of it. Vel. Vel is combat oriented. That's just who the player is. They don't... they're going to side with the majority of the party. And they're just interested in killing Phil. So I think they're going to be okay, no matter what happens. I think I think the player is going to be happy either way. Like, no matter what happens here, the player is going to be happy. They are aligned good. Like, they do have more lawful tendencies than unlawful. And they do tend to support the weak and downtrodden when they need to. I think we've just got a good mix all around. I think all the players will be happy in their own way. And that's good. That's what I care about the most. I just want this to be a fun game for everyone. And fun for a lot of people is, being engaged in the story. Feeling like your decisions matter to a degree, and that what you choose to do will actually impact things to come. And I definitely do the best I can to have that happen. I try not to plan too far out. I have like the major story beats planned out already, but I don't go into this level of detail until it's like, about time for it to need to be fleshed out. So that I can easily adapt and adopt input from the players and their characters. I think this is a good bridge. I think this will make everyone happy. Yeah. I still got to work out the mechanics of the fights. Well, specifically how Jacob's going to play a role in the fight. The thing is, I don't want Jacob to have a role in the fight at all. I want everything is balanced for the party as they currently stand with the amount of players they have and the levels they have. I don't want to throw that off with Jacob. I do plan, however, there is just a little teaser. Aridin in my campaign is still very much alive. However, he has predominantly been influencing the Ark, this new world, for a while now. And now that they're more or less in the astral sea and no longer have a divide between the physical realm and the astral realm, I do intend to have I'm okay with the idea of Aridin having some type of sway over the fight, right? Like, say the evil guys, for example, get like 320s in a row and like insta down someone. Like, that's just not fair. It's not fun either. It's fair actually, because the dice do the rolls and that's part of the RNG of it all, but it's not fun. And so I would allow Aridin to kind of jump in and stabilize people, or bring them back up to 1 hit point one time, something like that. So I do have an idea of that type of celestial influence, I guess you could say. But I'm not shoehorning myself into a specific set of actions. It's going to depend on how the game actually plays out. The only thing I got to be really careful about is not taking action when the players still have things under control, and not taking action that could potentially take player agency away from the players. Right? Like, I don't want to revive someone who's down when a healer is standing right next to them, you know? Nothing like that. So I just got to be careful. I could like give them all like a temporary striking rune bonus effect. Like, that'd be cool. I need to look into the mechanics of getting that effect. But yeah. I'll think on that a little bit. I'll think on that off stream. As of right now, I got the important stuff done. I got the story done. The players I have, thankfully, they already like the mechanics of Pathfinder, but they really love story. After all, we're all Final Fantasy 14 players. That's kind of like where we all like met up and everything. Well, a church, then Final Fantasy 14. But so naturally, we're all tied or more leaning towards story over mechanical battles and such. So yeah, I got the important stuff done. Let me save that. And yeah, that's actually going to be where I will end the stream today. And I'll be sure to give y'all an update as to how the battle goes and how things go. All right. Y'all take care.